Hello, fellow members of the Midnight Society. Welcome back to another episode review from the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? Last time, we covered the tale of Locker 22, a Kristen story about a new student haunted by a ghost from the 60s who shared her same locker. Tonight's narrative, from Betty Ann, is about a brother and sister who encounter a strange toy company that moves in on the 13th floor of their apartment building. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this Season 2, Episode 4, The Tale of the 13th Floor. We open on a POV shot of someone sneaking up on Gary, Frank, and Kiki at the campsite. They really love their murder cam shots when opening the show, don't they? Frank suddenly gets an uneasy feeling, I can't imagine why, and he asks the others if they ever get the feeling that they're being watched. Oh, Frank, you so meta. Anyway, Gary and Kiki don't respond. Rude. Then a flashlight shines in all their faces. Kiki says to turn the lights off, and Gary follows it up by saying that they know who's holding the flashlights, which gets the following response.
You see us every week, but do you really know us?
Okay, I know it's a Betty Ann story, but this is some Kristen-level theatricality. Gary has what I would consider an out-of-character moment, getting irritated at the mood being set, and asks if they're going to have a story or if they're just playing games. What's the matter, Gare Bear? Are you upset that they didn't ask you to be a part of it? Yeah. Look, I still love you. Betty Ann prefaces that her story is about strangers among us, but I can't even focus on that because what is she wearing? It looks like she forgot it was story night, got ready for bed, remembered, and then just threw a sweatshirt on before running out the door. She says that the scariest strangers are the ones inside ourselves. Betty Ann, you haven't been reading my diary again, have you? Because, I mean, look, just because I use the term murder basement doesn't mean that's what it's for. Betty Ann's story begins on the abandoned 13th floor of an apartment building where there's clearly an unnatural spider problem. Seriously, does Spider-Man live up here? Look at the size of those webs. Betty Ann says that the last tenants of the 13th floor disappeared years ago. But, Betty Ann, I don't know if you know this, but generally, when one tenant leaves, even if they just vanish into thin air, property owners will often bring in what's called new tenants so they can, make money on said property. The elevator doors open to reveal our two main characters, Karen and Billy, being escorted to the 13th floor by the building's elevator operator? Wait, so the building is posh enough to have an elevator operator, but you can't fix up the 13th floor to get some new renters in?
No one knows.
Now I know what you're all thinking. Is Billy here young Iceman from X-Men? Or young Jimmy Olsen from Smallville? And the answer is Jimmy Olsen. That's right! Billy is played by a 14-year-old Aaron Ashmore, twin brother of Shawn Ashmore. And I'm not gonna lie, before looking this up, I had no idea they were twins. I just thought Shawn was in very high demand since his youth.
Will you get off of that?
Okay, maybe you weren't thinking any of that, but you were definitely wondering if the elevator operator is the mailman from The Tale of the Nightly Neighbors, another Betty Ann story. It is, right? And I think that it's the same character, okay? He was listed as Mr. Mitchell in The Nightly Neighbors, and he's only called Gus here, so his full name, okay? Gus Mitchell, right? I think he got over the vampire bite, right? And he went and found himself another job, one that he thought was safer than delivering mail to mannerless suburbanites who don't watch where they're going. Can't you see? It's all connected. Who am I talking to? I need human contact.
No more drugs for that man.
In case we all missed it from Betty Ann's narration a moment before, the elevator operator says,
Be careful now. Remember what happened to the last people who lived up here.
He then says he doesn't like the idea of the kids playing up here, but then immediately takes off. If you had such a problem with it, why would you bring them up here in the first place? Classic Are You Afraid of the Dark adult.
I'm sorry. I'm late. Bye!
The kids begin playing a sport, and knowing this was filmed in Canada, I'll give you one guess as to what that sport was. If you guessed hockey, that's racist. Wait, is it? No, not this again. Is it racist? Sports racist. Sportsist? Look, the point is Canada has a very popular football league as well. Karen asks if they can play something she's good at, and then demonstrates her inability to hit a stationary ball with a hockey stick. She says if she had her brother's genes, she could do it, and I think we all know where this is going.
What have my genes got to do with it?
Do you get it? It's funny because he's a moron. It's revealed that Karen is adopted. Wait a second. She's adopted. She's no good at hockey, which means her parents must be Americans. Strange noises and lights appear outside the windows, and the ceiling begins shaking, causing the kids to retreat to the elevator. It takes a bit for the lift to arrive, but when it does, Gus, the previous elevator operator, has been replaced by the forgotten fifth member of a flock of seagulls. The kids ask what happened to Gus, and get the following answer.
Gus was called away. He had an emergency.
Cool. So Gus survived vampires only to be killed off by Riff Raff's more attractive brother? Messed up, Betty Ann. Billy gets justifiable stranger danger vibes and opts for him and his sister to take the stairs. We cut to Karen's bedroom at night, which is just decorated in foreshadowing. Her TV turns itself on while she's sleeping, playing what appears to be an episode of Max Headroom, before the camera focuses and we see that it's just another one of the seagulls. Is that what they like to be called? Or part of the flock? I don't know. The person on the screen wakes Karen up and tells her they've come for a little visit. It's honestly a great scene that feels very Twilight Zone. Karen assumes she's dreaming and just goes back to sleep after the TV turns itself back off. The following day, Billy and Karen try heading up to the 13th floor but find that the stairwell door is locked. Let me tell you, that's a fire hazard. They should probably bring that up with the building superintendent. You know, provided he hasn't been liquidated already.
He had an emergency.
They try the elevator, but the fifth seagull tells them that the new tenants are fumigating. He invites the kids into the elevator to go downstairs, but again, Billy declines the invitation. We then cut to a shot of an entryway/stairwell that just really confuses me as to the layout of this building. The stairs here are in an open, centralized area and appear to go all the way up. But when the kids tried to use the stairs before, they were sealed off in a corner of the building. Now, you could make the argument that the building has more than one set of stairs, but if that were the case, the kids should have been able to get to the 13th floor using the wooden stairs. Are we just to assume that the 13th floor only has stair access from the corner stairs on the 12th floor?
Going down.
Karen mentions that she had another dream, and Billy gives us more foreshadowing.
You mean the one where you're flying through outer space?
Billy finds a letter addressed to Karen in the mail, but it doesn't have her last name on it or any stamps. The invitation is for the toy factory, located on the 13th floor of the building. The invitation is for any time tomorrow, which we'll find out later is actually pretty poor planning on someone's part. Billy poses the question that honestly should be on everyone's mind.
What's a toy company doing in an apartment building?
You can't have a toy factory in an apartment building. You can't even have the corporate headquarters to a toy factory in an apartment building. There's laws, zoning regulations, and a bunch of other stuff that Betty Ann clearly didn't research before telling this tale. The details matter, Betty Ann. Alright? You know who pays attention to details? Kids! Actually, no, they probably don't. Shut up.
It's sensitive.
Plus, and I can't stress this enough, for any children who might have watched this episode, but if you receive an invitation that was clearly slipped into your mailbox from someone in your apartment building to come alone to test toys on a floor that no one has access to without the blessing of New Wave Lurch in the elevator, don't go! You report that to a trusted adult ASAP. Karen doesn't want to go, but Billy tries to convince her, saying that maybe they'll give away free stuff. Nice to see Billy's lost all the instincts that kept him out of the elevator of doom. Anyway, despite his logic, Karen still isn't convinced. That night, Karen's TV turns itself on again, and the same band member from the night before Jedi mind tricks her into agreeing to come to the 13th floor the next day. Though to be honest, I'm not sure if it was so much a mind trick as it was Karen just agreeing so this guy would leave her alone to get some sleep.
Say you'll come.
Okay, yeah.
The next day, Billy and Karen roll up to the 13th floor in matching denim outfits. Oh, the 90s. They enter a room that looks like Easter threw up on it, yet they both seem amazed by what they see. Sorry, not buying it. Maybe if they were both like 5 years old, I could see them being impressed, but teens and preteens, without actual toys or video games in sight? Methinks not. Olga, the Seagull's manager, I guess, welcomes the children, but is rather put out that Karen brought her brother along. She tries to get Billy to leave, but that protective instinct kicks back in.
She's my sister. When I leave, she leaves with me.
Olga relents, bringing both kids into the room to meet Raymond, the man who has been appearing on Karen's TV, though she doesn't appear to recognize him. He has the kids play a lame version of Simon while adjusting a dial that makes Billy increasingly worse at the game. I love that Raymond's control console has what appears to be a game controller spray-painted silver at the center of it to make it look more futuristic.
Now you're playing with power.
Billy is clearly being physically affected in some way, but before Karen can get too concerned, Raymond whisks her away to the next game, leaving Billy behind to finish the current one. Meanwhile, the fifth Seagull shows up in the elevator, asking Olga if Karen will be ready. She says yes, but that the boy is with her, to which he replies,
We don't have much time. We must leave by 6.
Olga says she will be ready before stepping off screen to leave the camera lingering on a clock with no numbers. Who is this for? Sure, my adult brain can work out that it's just after 5, but this isn't on screen very long. Even when analog clocks were more commonplace, a child would have had a hard time working this out.
I don't have time for this.
This is also where the poor planning that I mentioned earlier comes into play. If they were on a time crunch, why not put the invitation specifically earlier in the day? You didn't list hours of operation, probably because you're not a real business, but what if this happened? Cool! You got an invitation to the toy factory on the 13th floor for any time tomorrow. Great! We'll go right after dinner then, say 6:30? Oh! Back in the testing room, Raymond locks Karen into the world's worst roller coaster seat. Seriously, if the point of that is to hold someone in the seat, you're failing. Raymond says they're going to unlock Karen's true potential and, has her move a ball around with her mind. This excites her, and she goes to share it with Billy, but sees that something's wrong with him. Raymond tries to draw her attention away again, telling her that they're going to go on a trip. She says that she doesn't want to go on the trip. Raymond turns the dial again, causing Billy more physical pain, and Karen tells him to stop, to which he replies,
I am simulating the atmospheric pressure of home.
Karen is very confused, and to make matters worse, Raymond pulls his face off in front of her.
His face off.
Karen then does some of the best acting like she's trapped in something that she clearly isn't that I've ever seen. Raymond then opens a cylindrical hole in the ceiling where the rest of Rita Repulsa's putties are waiting, and he starts raising Karen's chair up towards it. Karen uses her new Jedi powers to manipulate the control console, freeing herself and kicking Raymond in the head, which apparently paralyzes him. Maybe freeze tag is just really big on their planet. Karen tries getting Billy out of there, but he is in no condition to move. She hears Olga approaching, so she hides in a nearby air vent. Olga reactivates Raymond with the game controller and tells him to find the girl as they need to leave by 6 p.m. Raymond responds with a very sassy
559.30, to be precise.
I assume that Raymond is rather unpopular on his planet, and before you assume that I missed out on an obvious everybody loves Raymond joke here, just know that I didn't, okay? Because I wouldn't do that to you. You're better than that, alright? And so am I! And so are you!
Ray has gone bye-bye, Egon.
Olga human shames Billy before leaving the room.
Poor specimens, these Earth children.
Raymond immediately finds Karen, but does little to grab her. She escapes into another room through the ventilation shaft, finding herself in a pastel dead end. Raymond slowly pursues her until she uses her newfound powers to make painted styrofoam fall from the ceiling, knocking Raymond down. She then heads back through the vent to find Raymond already waiting for her in the testing room. Well, I'd say this guy's good if he wasn't so bad. Karen uses the game controller to shut Raymond down before he gets to her. That seems like a really important piece of tech to just keep lying around. This is why aliens will never conquer the Earth. Because they're dumb.
Oh, easy. What's with the personal attacks?
Karen starts adjusting the dial down in an effort to rescue Billy, but before he wakes up, Olga returns, forcing Karen to hide once more. And I use the term hide very loosely here, but these beings seem to be terrible at everything, so Olga doesn't see her. When Olga can't find Raymond's remote control, she opens a panel on his chest to reactivate him. Okay, now I have questions. Is just Raymond a robot? Or are they all robots? The guys up in the ceiling looked like Raymond when he took his face off.
His face
Were they robots too? Karen sneaks out of the room but gets stopped at the elevator by the fifth Seagull. She tries to use the remote control on him, to which he responds,
We're not all robots, Karen.
I guess that answers my question from earlier, but I just like that he sounded so wounded by it. Like he's constantly mistaken for a robot, and it makes him sad. Karen escapes into the stairwell, where Raymond the robot can't follow because the door is locked? Question mark. Aren't robots supposed to be like strong and stuff? Sorry. Look, I keep projecting competent alien races onto this one. That's on me.
I find it extremely difficult to predict what you will find acceptable.
Olga says the girl will be back as she won't leave her brother in peril, and she's correct. Karen looks over the controller and sees that it has a control function on it because, you know, it's a controller. She then heads back upstairs, grabbing Billy, but of course gets intercepted by Raymond. Olga also shows up, but then Karen just uses the controller to make Raymond grab and hold Olga in place. So, whatever. Also, what kind of name is Raymond for a robot? It must be an acronym of some kind. Really awful, yet maintained out of necessity droid. The fifth Seagull stops Karen at the elevator. Didn't we just do this? Also, the alien does have a name. I've just refused to use it. Leonid tries one last time to convince Karen to go with them, but she refuses and time is up. Karen and Billy get in the elevator as the timer counts down. We cut to Karen's bedroom where Karen and Billy see the weird lights and noises outside the window again. Billy says,
Man, that was really weird.
You almost died, bro. But yeah, really weird. Karen's TV turns on again, but this time Olga's on the screen. She explains that they were there rescuing Karen and that they accidentally left her there 10 years before. Olga reveals her true form, stating that they've run out of atmosphere and it will be another 10 years before they can return. The camera then closes in on Billy for the turn I think we all knew was coming, but is still super effective.
What you talking about? Is this a joke or what?
But if they can't survive without their atmosphere, shouldn't Karen be dead? Like, especially after she goes all no-face? And if she didn't know she was an alien, why did she have a human facade up this whole time? And how was she adopted by human parents that live in the same building? Did Billy's parents just find her in a stairwell and decide to keep her like a lost dog or something? There's a backstory here that I need to know.
Get used to disappointment.
Anyway, Betty Ann finishes her story by saying,
You may think you know someone, but think again and look a little closer.
Now for the review. This episode was a pretty fun one, with just a few design choices that hold it back a bit for me. As I stated earlier, you can really see the Twilight Zone influence in the story, while at the same time channeling the camp of like 50s, 60s sci-fi films. I love the idea of an alien being raised as a human and not realizing they're an alien, causing a rescue attempt by those aliens to turn into a tale of horror. Where the episode falls short for me is the Toy Factory set. I get that they were trying to mirror the sets of those old sci-fi movies, but the color palette just really takes me out of it. I could understand if the outer rooms had that look, if the testing room had been more cold and metallic. I mean, as always, I know the budget is a big factor too. It's much cheaper to paint plastic dogs, bowling pins, and bicycles a solid color than buy a bunch of toys to sell the idea of an actual toy factory. Fortunately, the sci-fi elements are where the episode shines. The first time Raymond pulls his face off is just such a good moment. The faceless aliens were a nice touch, and honestly, I feel like we could have spent more time with them in that form. Karen being pursued by a couple of those aliens would have been way more effective than Raymond.
There you are.
This episode also has a strong ending with Karen's alien reveal, and to their credit, it's done without any cuts. She's there, the camera zooms in, Billy says his line, then looks over, camera pulls back to reveal, boom, Karen's alien form. It's just so good. Younger me wouldn't have found this episode scary, but it definitely would have had him wondering if his sister was an alien. I still wonder sometimes.
A very clever deception indeed.
The acting in this episode is pretty good. Karen does the heavy lifting out of the two child actors. She gets to explore a decent range of emotion and does it well. She even sells that she's stuck in a restraint that is clearly not restraining her in any way. Billy isn't given that much to do, but he has a few moments to shine, showing that he's fatigued and injured by the alien atmosphere.
As if we haven't heard this a million times.
The adult actors were solid all around. Leonid had great creepy energy, and it really felt like he was channeling Richard O'Brien from the Rocky Horror Picture Show in his delivery. Olga didn't quite get to be as quirky or as odd as the other two, but still delivered a solid performance. Raymond was the standout for me. Not only did he have to balance creepy with silly, but he also had to work in some stilted robotic mannerisms, and I just felt like he pulled it off perfectly. Betty Ann, another solid story. Even if I question your alien's ability to achieve faster-than-light travel based on how dumb they were. The Tale of the 13th Floor meets the approval of the Midnight Society. What did you all think of Betty Ann's story? Did you see it as a kid? What were some of your favorite tales from the series? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're looking for more Are You Afraid of the Dark content, check out my buddy Adam's channel. He makes funny summary videos. You can find the link to his channel in the description below. Be sure to check out my next episode about the tale of the Dream Machine. Until next time, are you afraid of the dark?
What have my jeans got to do with it?
Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're into nostalgic shows that talk about your childhood favorites, we just launched a new show on the channel called Batman the Animated Recap featuring me and a Joker puppet. Check it out.